I'm excited because life brings you new places, new adventures. You get to meet new people and have these new experiences. But I found that life has a way of bringing you back to your roots, bringing you back to your foundation. We've been able to do talks in Los Angeles, in the Midwest. And our first talk in Central New York was actually in Syracuse, which is at the church that I was baptized at, which then we got married at in September. And our second talk in Central New York is actually this talk tonight, which is funny because Oswego is actually where I came into this world. Not in this church, but down the road at the hospital.
8:49 a.m.
And she reminds me that every year on my birthday at 8:48 that it's not my birthday yet, but then she comes back to that. It was interesting is 14 to 15 years after visiting that hospital, I returned back to it. But this time it was a completely different experience. I grew up playing 4 sports, football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, but football was my passion. Football was a sport that I love. I still love it. Kansas City Chiefs fan, a lot of people get angry about that, and Taylor Swift and all that going on, I get it. But I love the Chiefs, I love football. Played football from the time I was 3-4 years old all the way up, and it was my sophomore year. I started off the season, varsity football team, as the 4th-string receiver. Season went on, I kept working hard, and eventually I was a starter. 4th-string receiver to the starter. It was homecoming, I'm at the pep rally. Honestly, I'm freaking out a little bit because I'm like, dang, I'm starting tonight, and these guys are pretty big and they're pretty fast, and I thought I was ready for this, but maybe I'm not ready for this. Am I going to remember the playbook? All this is going on at homecoming. Homecoming ends, go to the pizza shop, get a slice of pizza in Cato, which we spent 2 weeks in Italy, and I will still say that Cato Meridian has the best slice of pizza at the pizza shop. We got back from Italy and was like, I need to go to that pizza shop. We need a slice from there. Not funded or sponsored by them in any means, but if they want to throw us a slice, cool, but they probably won't. So I get the slice of pizza, we go to the game, and I'm having the game of my life. The game's going better than I expected. We come out at halftime. I had a touchdown, had a lot of receiving yards, a lot of catches. The guy covering me, he was getting pretty frustrated at this point. I'm like, man, this is great. This is way better than I thought it was going to be. And then I run a slant, I'm coming in, and the DB from behind, he hits me at the top of my leg, a linebacker hits the downside. I hear a crack, I'm down on the field, punching the ground, in tears, crying, fractured my tibia. I'm in a knee immobilizer, I'm on crutches for a couple weeks, and it's just a typical afternoon. I'm home, dad's at work, mom's running up around the corner to get a slice of pizza because I was hungry. So she went and grabbed that, and I'm home by myself. I'm on the couch, and I start to feel this weird sensation in my right side. I haven't felt it before. I was confused, I was uncertain, I was a little afraid. And my brain said, you need safety. You need to get to safety to figure out what's happening. And until you get to safety, we're not going to process this. So I'm young, I'm 14, 15 years old. What is safety to a 14 to 15-year-old? To me, it was my parents' bed, right? You have a nightmare, where do you go? Your parents' bed. Thunderstorm, lightning storm, you go to your parents' bed. So I went to my parents' bed, and I curled up in the fetal position. Mom gets home not too long after that. She walks into the house, and she sees the crutches near the couch. She sees the water, but she doesn't see her son. And I hear Mom coming in, and I'm trying to muster up the energy to say, Mom, I'm back here. But I couldn't do it. Anytime I tried to open up, it was just too much pain. So I had to stay in this fetal position. So Mom runs through the house. She finds me in the back in the fetal position. And very intuitive, Mom goes, hey, try to eat a little bit of pizza, which was her test to see what's happening. I took a little bite. I said, Mom, I can't eat this right now. It hurts too much. Soon after that, we're in the car. Dad gets home. We're flying to the hospital. My appendix was about to burst, and we had to rush into surgery to get it removed. So in that moment, I learned a lot of things. One of the things I learned is that life can change super fast. You can be having the time of your life. You can be having the game of your life, the moment of your life. And then just like that, it can change. The second thing I learned is that when we're faced with stressors, our brain processes it and decides what's important for me to survive right now. Because mind you, I had a fractured tibia with a knee immobilizer on, not able to put weight on this thing for 4 weeks. I was about 2 weeks into the rehab process, and this hurt more. And my brain said, hey, we don't care about your fractured tibia anymore. Walk on that thing, get back there, figure out what's happening here because this is more threatening. Take care of this, and then afterwards we'll start worrying about your leg again. But in that moment, I didn't have pain in my leg. It all shifted its attention to here. So I learned that pain is very dynamic. It's very unique. It changes depending on the situations that are presented to us. The other thing I learned is that you do not want to be home alone during a crisis. And granted, that was only 10 minutes. That felt like 20 years. And I didn't even know what 20 years felt like at that point. So I'm just laying there wondering, when is my help going to get here? Because I can't do this on my own. I tried. I got to safety and I still feel the same way. What's happening? I need some help. So you don't want to be home alone during a crisis. Many of you this holiday season may feel like you're home alone. You may feel like you're taking on these burdens and that you're doing it by yourself, and there's not people there to support you and those people to help you, and it gets escalated during the holiday season. There's so many events going on. Do I have enough money to give a gift to someone? Am I going to be able to show up for this person? Am I going to be able to be with family? All these things come on. And maybe you're experiencing Christmas for the first time without a loved one being here. There's a lot of things that come on that make you feel home alone during the holiday season. So tonight, we are going to build the Hope Home. And the way we're going to do that is with the help of the McCallisters from the classic movie Home Alone. Is there anybody who hasn't seen the movie Home Alone? Just in case, we'll do a quick rundown, quick plot, so that we're all on the same page of Home Alone, and then we're going to dive into it. Sound good? All right. So we have Kevin, right? Kevin's right there. What does Kevin do? He wishes his family away. He wants them gone. They don't listen to him. They don't see him. He wants his family gone. He's got the brother, Buzz. Buzz tells him stories about this man that has a shovel and murdered his whole family and the entire block and put the remains in a garbage can. Kevin, he just wants a slice of pizza. Buzz won't give it to him. Kevin goes off. He goes crazy. Parents, Kevin, get up in the room. Goes up to his room. Parents, leave the next day. They forget Kevin. Kevin wakes up. I wished my family away. It actually worked. My family's gone. Then what happens? The Wet Bandits go, ooh, okay, we can go and rob this home now. We can go rob it because they're gone. They go try to rob it. What does Kevin do? He protects it. Not going to happen, right? Family comes back home. General plot of Home Alone. Everyone with me? Only line I left out, keep the change, you filthy animal. So before we go too far into it, we want to start with where we're going to finish. What is nope and what is hope? Simply stated, nope, it's the rejection, the misinformation, the temptation to believe that we're not enough, that we're not worthy, that we're not seen, that we're not capable. Nope is always available. The world is ready to put nope on your plate at any time. So what is hope? Hope is not just a thought. A lot of people believe hope is just, I hope I'm going to get better. I hope that this relationship works out. I hope that I'm able to get out of pain. I hope that this is going to happen. Hope is not just a thought. Hope is a mindset. Hope is a cognitive choice. Hope is a behavior. It's a positive motivational state that requires 3 things. And those 3 things, they're going to be coming up. Our mission, empower hope to those plagued by nope. And our vision is to restore the greatest healing agent available, hope. For healing, we need hope. So hope, it requires these 3 things. And this comes from famous hope researcher C.R. Snyder from University of Kansas. We need self-agency, we need goals, and we need a framework to achieve. If we don't have those 3 things, we don't have hope. So we need those 3 things. We're going to talk about some basic science, and then we're going to get back into the Christmas movie. Basic science. Law of conservation of energy. Simply stated, this means that we cannot create or destroy energy. All we can do is transform it. Right? Physics, we have kinetic energy and potential energy. You can't destroy one to create the other one. You can only transform it. When it comes to hope and it comes to the nope that you faced, we can't just get rid of the nope. You can't just create hope by getting rid of this thing, but you can transform it. You can transform the nope that you've been in to hope. Newton's third law. There's 2 laws before that, but we're going to skip to the third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What that tells me, and what I get really excited about, is that if you faced a ton of nope, if you've been through all this nope, if this weight on your shoulders is so heavy, Newton's third law tells us that there's a lot of hope coming your way if you're willing to put that work in. Because hope is learned and earned. Hope is not passive. Hope requires some effort. So as we hop into this talk, I just want to point out one part of the movie of Home Alone before we go too far. Kate McCallister, she says, and I quote, "Christmas is the perpetual season of hope." Anyone remember when she says that? Is it when she gets back to be with Kevin and the family's back together and all their belongings are safe? No. It happens in the airport. She's begging people to get a ticket to get on the plane. Take my pearl necklace. Take my wallet. Take my watch. I'll give you all these upgrades. Just give me your seat. No one would budge. No one would give her the ticket. So she's stuck in the airport. She's desperate. She ends up riding the U-Haul van with a polka band in order to get back, right? But when does she say Christmas is the perpetual season of hope? When does she rely on hope? At the plane station, when she's in a crisis. When she's in a crisis, she relies on hope. Our goal is the next time that you face that nope in your life, that you do the Kate McAllister. You lean towards hope. You go towards hope in that crisis. So we're going to focus on 3 main characters of the movie: Kevin McCallister, the South Bend Shovel Slayer, Old Man Marley, and the Wet Bandits. Tonight's talk, we're going to call it Hope with the McCallisters. We're going to start with the main character, Kevin McCallister, the unwanted kid, right? That's how the movie starts off. His sister tells him, "Kevin, you're such a disease." His parents say, "There's 15 people in this house and you're the only pain in the butt." Kevin's underappreciated. He's not seen. He asks for help and he just gets rejected until he eventually blows up. They're having dinner the night before they're leaving, and all Kevin wants is just cheese pizza. And there's like 20 different pizzas, and he just wants a slice of cheese pizza. Buzz takes it from him. It was probably from the Cato Pizza Shop, so he wanted to have that for himself. And he takes it, and Kevin explodes. Once Kevin explodes, now he gets attention. But once he gets that attention, what happens? Kevin, go to your room. Get out of here. We see you explode. We're not going to deal with it. Let's go put you away. So Kevin gets put away. And what we learn is that when things aren't dealt with and they're put into a room to not be dealt with, not to be bothered with, they end up turning into a bigger situation. They end up turning into a crisis where you have to leave a family vacation in Paris to fly back to ride in a U-Haul van to get back to the thing that you originally put away. We learn that this unwanted kid, Kevin, he's pain. Pain is the unwanted sense that we all have. We have smell, we have taste, we have touch, we have all these great things, and then pain is the unwanted sense. It's the underappreciated sense. It's the thing that we want to put in a room and not deal with it. And if we don't deal with it, guess what? It creates that crisis later on. Kevin is important. We need to experience Kevin. If we put Kevin away, Kate McCallister will hop in a U-Haul van, ride in with a polka band to get back to reunite with Kevin. Because what does Kevin teach us? Kevin teaches us that pain teaches us limitations. There's one condition in which people do not experience pain. It's called congenital insensitivity. The life expectancy is 25 years old for these people that don't experience pain. Why 25 years old? Because they don't learn limits. They're jumping off buildings, jumping through tables, having fractures, having infections, and because they can't feel the discomfort, they don't know. So they just keep going, and they're dangerous, and they don't learn limits, and then they end up passing at 25 years. Pain, it teaches us limitations. It helps to protect us. We know that pain helps to defend things that are meaningful to us. At one point in the movie, Kevin even says, "This is my home. I have to defend it." Right? You are the home. Kevin is here to defend you and defend the things that are meaningful to you, the things that are meaningful in the house. What happens in the movie if Kevin isn't there to defend it? They get back from their family vacation, and all the things that were meaningful to them that they built in this home, they're gone. But because Kevin is there to defend it, defend the meaning, the situation is different. So many times we try to push Kevin away. All these different strategies. In science terms, that tends to be opioids. You experience some pain, take this opioid, get rid of that pain. The United States consumes 80% of the worldwide opioid supply, 99% of the hydrocodone supply. When we were overseas in Italy, we actually had people come up to us that were from overseas, and they said, "Oh, you guys are American? Don't you guys have an opioid problem?" It's like, dang, this is what people are saying about us because it's being handed out like candy. It's starting to decrease a little bit, but it's still super, super prevalent. And what happens when you take an opioid? That binds to the receptor that then decreases the experience, but the brain says, I want to be reunited with Kevin. So I need to build more receptors so that I can be reunited with Kevin. So it builds more receptors. And then what happens then? Well, you need a higher dose of opioids. So take more opioids so that you can fill those receptors. And the brain says, we still need to feel this thing. How do we feel this thing? We need to build more receptors. And then soon, the nervous system becomes so sensitive to everything around it that everything you do in the day, you're feeling it. It's in discomfort because of all these receptors that were built into the nervous system that allowed it to become sensitive. We can try to distract it. We can try to use TENS units. We can try to use red light therapy. We can try to use herbs. We can try to do all these things. But pain is a request for change. And once that change is granted, pain will say, thank you for listening to me. I'm not going to give you this output anymore. Kevin is pain. When you experience pain, do you respect the request that your body's asking of you? Or do you just try to shove it away? What is that request that it's asking? It might be saying, I need you to get more sleep. You're running on 3 hours of sleep. You're super caffeinated. You're getting through your day, but you're not fulfilled. I need you to get some more sleep. It might be saying, hey, that work environment that you're in is pretty toxic. I need you to get out of that work environment because you're not going to be fulfilled there. So until you make that change, I'm going to keep giving you this request. So what's that request that Kevin is asking of you? So step one, we got to change the way that we view Kevin. Kevin's not against us. Kevin is here to defend us. Once we change that relationship with Kevin, we can change our view on it. We start to learn that Kevin's not unwanted. He's misunderstood. He goes above and beyond to protect his home. We learn that that unwanted kid is actually needed. We learn that the way that we see things may not be as they actually are. Rather, it's our brain's best prediction. For example, you might read that top line and say, that looks like a solid Cato Meridian education. You need to be somewhat right. But you can read that sentence and you can interpret what it's saying. Even though its spelling is terrible, the grammar's off, you know what that says. How does that work? Well, the neuroscience shows us that your brain works by prediction. There's one of my favorite researchers, Aaliyah Crum. She used to be at the University of Harvard. Now she's at the University of Stanford. She's in the mind-body lab. She did a study looking at milkshakes. Anyone a fan of milkshakes? We were just at a concert, and they offered free Fribbles for people up in these like two sections. Fribbles are from Friendlies. I remember we used to come for doctor's appointments, and if we were well-behaved, instead of a sticker, we got a coupon to go to Friendlies and get the little ice cream with the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup ears, the little monster scoop guys. If you know, you know. If you don't know, we got to hit Friendlies if it's still around. Not around, but Fribbles, milkshakes, same thing. So this researcher, they had two different groups, right? And this was real research, right? Not a blog post, not a case study, not an opinion piece. This was done with two groups. Both were blinded to what they were doing, and the evaluators were also blinded to it. So they had two groups. One group drank the indulgent milkshake, the sugary, fatty milkshake that you would think about. The one with syrup on it, the one that your mouth just starts salivating for. The other group had a milkshake that was a Sensi shake, nutrient dense, low sugar, low fat, the health conscious decision. Both groups had these milkshakes, and they looked at their level of Grelin. Grelin is a physiological hormone. When we release Grelin, it tells us that we're hungry, go consume calories. When Grelin is suppressed, it then tells us that we've had enough calories, you don't need to consume more calories. So if we have the sugary, fatty milkshake, that one tends to fill us, and we don't have that increase in Grelin, it suppresses. If we have that nutrient-dense milkshake, our brain goes, yeah, we need some more calories, we need to get more in here. So they looked at the levels of Grelin, and both groups had significantly different levels of Grelin. But here's the catch. Both milkshakes were the same. Both groups had the same exact milkshake. The only thing that was different was the label. That label led to a different physiological outcome because the brain worked by prediction. The brain predicted that this is doing this in my body because what I've learned about it, and because of that, it's physiologically changed the level of Grelin. Just one study that was really fascinating. And Leah Crum, she has so many more of those studies showing how our brain works by prediction. But I want to step into talking about Old Man Marley, the South Bend shovel slayer. As I watched this movie and I was working on the talk, I think he became my favorite character. He's so underrated. No one appreciates this man. This guy is an incredible dude. And when we learn about him, you'll start to see why. So we're first introduced to Old Man Marley with Buzz and Kevin hanging out the bedroom window. And Buzz shares a story that he murdered his family with that shovel and then continued to murder the entire block, put all the remains in his trash can, and now he walks around sprinkling salt everywhere, but the remains are still in that bucket. So Kevin, this is what he hears about Old Man Marley. So he's afraid of Old Man Marley. He does not want to be near Old Man Marley because he's terrified that he might get murdered by that shovel. So that's how we're introduced to Old Man Marley. There's two scenes in the movie that I want to bring our attention to. The first scene is when Kevin is first getting attacked by the Wet Bandits. Not when they break into the home, but when they realize that he's home and they start chasing him down the road. Kevin's being attacked. He's terrified. He's in fear. Where does he go for safety? He goes to the church and he hides in the nativity scene. Second time, Kevin's feeling alone. He's realizing his family's gone. He's home alone on the holidays. So he goes for a walk. He hears a choir singing. He goes into the church. Who's in that church? Old Man Marley. He's there listening to his granddaughter, and he says, this might be the only time I get to see her on Christmas Day, or in the Christmas season. Kevin sees Old Man Marley, and it's the first time that he doesn't run from him. He enters into a conversation. Old Man Marley says, there's a lot of things being said about me. None of them are true. Kevin asks him, what are you doing here? And he tells him, oh, I'm watching my granddaughter. My son and I had a falling out. He doesn't want to see me. And so I'm here because it's the only time that I'll be with them. Come Christmas Day, I won't be with anybody. Kevin says, why don't you call your son? Why don't you do the simple but not easy solution? Pick up the phone and call your son. And old man Marley says, well, I would do that, but I'm afraid he won't pick up. I'm afraid he won't want to talk to me. And Kevin says, too old to be afraid. And he says, you don't know until you try. Old man Marley takes that message. He calls his family. He puts his ego aside. He puts his fear aside. Kevin is pain, right? Point one, Kevin's pain. What does pain do? It's a request for change. Old man Marley listened to that request for change. He took the simple but not easy solution. He called his son. Come Christmas Day, he's out in the driveway, beautiful snowfall coming down, hugging his son, hugging his granddaughter. Kevin's up in the window looking at him, and they're both tearing up for that moment of joy. So we want to ask you, when you're struggling, where are you bringing your burdens? Where did Kevin bring his burdens? Where are you bringing your burdens when you're struggling? Where are you going for safety? Where are you going for the truth? Where are you going when things become so uncertain and it's chaos and you need some certainty? Where are you going for that? Takeaway 2. Don't let misinformation cloud your interaction with the truth. The truth is that Kevin is needed. We need to experience pain. The truth is that pain is unique, it's individualized, it's subjective experience. It's impacted by previous memories and experiences. It's impacted by your environment and what's going on around you. It's impacted by our relationship with it and how we're meant to deal with it and the things that we've learned about it. The truth is that we need it, and it helps to keep us on our path. Number 3, self-agency. Old man Marley put in the work. Kevin said, call your son. He kind of was fearful of it. But eventually he picked up the phone and he made that call. Self-agency is the ability to respond versus react to situations. Self-agency is saying, this hand I got dealt isn't fair, but I'm going to do my best to make this work. I'm going to do my best to keep pushing forward. That's self-agency. And old man Marley shows us that. Point number 4, community. The other reason I asked if you guys have seen it is because I don't want to spoil the ending. So I'm glad I'm not going to spoil the ending. I'm glad that you've all kept up with your Christmas traditions of watching Home Alone. So eventually, Kevin gets caught. The Wet Bandits, they get him. And they put him on a coat rack. And they leave him there, and they're excited. We finally got him. Oh, they're going to torture this kid. This kid has put him through an iron to the face, a blowtorch to the head, stepping on ornaments, stepping on nails, marbles. He's put them through the ringer, the gunshots, put them through the ringer, and they finally get their hands on him. They're finally going to take this kid out. Old man Marley shows up, and he whacks him in the back of the head with a shovel to save Kevin. We need community. We need one other person, at least, that has our back, that's going to help us in these situations of a crisis. We need community. We all need an old man Marley. There's a lot being said about me, but none of it's true. The same can be said about the human body. There's so much misinformation and outdated manuals that continue to circulate that people are being taught about their bodies that aren't true. We're being told that we're weak, that we're fragile, that we're not resilient, that we can't heal, that we need this thing in order for us to feel better. You can't heal on your own. Your body's not capable of that. Quick research study. Researchers have gotten very clever. Because before, if you had a back injury or back pain, what would you do? You go to the physician says, go get an x-ray, go get imaging done. You get the results from that x-ray or that imaging, and then you're offered medication, surgery, or maybe PT or chiropractic care. And researchers got clever, and they said, you know what? We're basing our decisions off of this picture, but maybe this thing existed before they even ever had that pain experience. So researchers said, why don't we do images of people that don't have symptoms? Let's look at spines of people that don't have any pain dysfunction. And this is what they found. Disc bulge or disc herniation. 30% of those 20 years of age, up to 84% of those 80 years of age, had disc bulges on imaging with no pain, no dysfunction, nothing bugging them. Didn't even know that this was going on in their spine. Disc protrusion, a higher level of a disc herniation, increased from 29% of those at 20 years old to 40% of those 80 years old. There's more people in our population that have these biological abnormalities that are actually normal than people that have these things that's associated with the experience of pain. There's a lot being said about us, but none of it's true. Another quick study. They looked at people that had disc herniations. A disc sequestration, that's the worst level of a disc herniation that you can have. And they just followed their imaging over time. These people did nothing. They didn't do PT. They didn't go to a chiropractor. They didn't go to massage therapy. They did no strengthening. They didn't change their diet. They didn't change their sleep. They changed nothing. And they followed them. And what they found is that 96% of the disc sequestration spontaneously regressed, meaning it healed on its own, with nothing being done. We go down the list, 70% for disc extrusion, 41% for protrusion, 13% for disc bulging. Our Creator made us in such a beautiful way that oftentimes if we don't get in the way, our body is meant to heal itself. We've let a lot of these things, a lot of this technology, and I'm not saying that technology is a bad thing because it is a good thing. It solved a lot of diseases, a lot of conditions that once weren't able to be solved. But we do have to recognize that a picture doesn't tell us the entire story. We have to realize there's an updated framework that we can use to make health decisions. There's a lot being said about us, but none of it's true. I could go through ACL repairs and why they're not needed, why meniscus surgeries are compared to placebo surgeries and the outcomes are the same. We could go through rotator cuff repairs and how at 5 years, 85% of people are satisfied even though their cuff's not intact and they don't know that it's not intact. We could go through all that stuff, but we'd be here for a while. And all that stuff is in this book, so if you're interested, it's all in there. But a lot is being said about us, none of it's true. It's time to update our models based off of the science that we have. All right, the Wet Bandits, we could not leave them out. So I'm actually going to have my nephew come up to play the role as the Wet Bandit. No, I'm just kidding. I was going to tackle you, just so like as an obstacle, but we won't do that. Thanks for the participation, though. So the Wet Bandits. The Wet Bandits, they have a goal. They have a mission. I don't agree with their goal or their mission, but they have one. And that is to rob the McCallisters' house. This is their prized possession. This is the Mecca. This is the project that's going to allow them to retire. If they can just rob the McCallisters' house. And guess what? The McCallisters are gone. They're gone for the holidays. They are ready to rob this house. Until the environment throws in a curveball. Because environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Stated by James Clear. Environment and our interaction with environment changes what we do. Because their goal and their mission was to rob the house. And when the environment changed, they forgot their goal. They forgot their mission. They stepped foot in nearly every house or every room of that house, and they didn't take a thing. They got distracted by the environment. interesting research on environment, how it changes our behavior and our prediction, because we know that our brain works by prediction. There's one classic research study that they provided a noxious stimulus, which is like a pinprick to somebody. And they gave them that pinprick while giving them a red visual cue. And then they gave that same noxious stimulus with a blue light. The noxious stimulus with the red light increased their pain perception. It increased what they were feeling from that noxious stimulus. It was the same stimulus. With a red light, changed the behavior. Because what does red typically mean? Blood, danger, stop. Everything that we need to do to survive, red can be a problem to that. Blue is calming. Blue lights are calming, relaxed. We don't need to fight or flight. We can rest or digest. The way that we interact with the environment, it can accelerate the duration you have in suffering, or it can prolong it, depending on how you interact with it. It was so cool. We're driving out here. We're coming from Syracuse. It's like a 50-minute drive. And we got near Oswego, and we're coming in this road, and there's just these beautiful Christmas lights, and we thought it was a home. And we're driving by, and we end up seeing that it's one of the parks, and there's all these lights around, and there's a statue that has this little eagle on it, and it's got its wings spread, and it's flying. And we saw this, and got really excited because it leads into our quick example about eagles. Eagles are the only bird that will directly fly into a storm. Every other bird will fly away from the storm. The eagle flies into it. It takes on the adversity. It leans into it. It keeps climbing higher and higher, and eventually it gets up above the storm. Once it's up above the storm, it has a better viewpoint. It can make better decisions. It decreases its time of suffering by facing it head on. Every other bird flies away from the storm. And what do they do because they fly away from it? The storm keeps catching up to them. It prolongs their suffering. So I want to do a quick exercise. No, a lot of us are going through some things. We may be feeling heavy. We may be experiencing some discomfort. We learn that Kevin is here to defend us. He's here to protect us. He's here to tell us that we need to change something. Because when we make that change, when we honor that change, we're able to get back on the path that was intended for us. The path that was desired for us. The path that fulfills us and makes us feel like we are healthy. Because what does health mean? Health means to make whole. So it can make you feel whole. So I want to do an exercise. Because what would happen if the family got home and Kevin thought they were still attacking? What would you do if you got home and your house was just trying to get robbed for 2 days straight? Your youngest son was being attacked. Probably get some alarms. Increase the security a little bit. But Kevin might be a little confused. You're bumping up security. I need to be on higher alert as well. So Kevin keeps hanging around because he doesn't think that he's safe. He doesn't think that you can keep going. He's afraid to move forward because he has to defend the house. So what I want to do, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to think about that event or that thing, that area of your body that you're experiencing this discomfort, this heaviness, these burdens. I want you to feel that area. And I want you to repeat after me. And you can say this internally. You don't need to say it out loud. I'm sorry for not listening to you sooner. I'm sorry for putting you in a room instead of honoring the request for change that you had. I appreciate that I have you to alert me when I get off track. I appreciate that you help teach me limitations. I know you're just trying to defend us, and you're great at it, but we don't need to defend anymore. We are safe. Go ahead, open your eyes. I want to bring our attention to this scripture. It's my favorite verse in the Bible. It's what this mission is really about. Romans 5, 3 through 5. Not only that, but we even boast in our afflictions, knowing that affliction produces endurance, and endurance proven character, and proven character hope. And hope does not disappoint. Hope is not passive. Hope is learned and earned. It's a positive motivational state requiring self-agency, goals, and a framework to achieve. We hope that you don't just understand hope, but that you can take this message, you can update your frameworks, and you can become hope. Because the test that Brandy and I like to use is just driving around and seeing how many people are smiling in their cars. It's at an all-time low. There's not people jamming out in their cars anymore. There's not people smiling and waving to you when you go by. As a society, we become very unhappy and very, very unfulfilled. So if you can take this message and you can become hope by the way that you carry yourself, the way that you interact with your environments, the way that you lead, you're going to change your communities. So it's not just about understanding hope. It's about becoming hope. And that's why Old Man Marley is my new favorite character in that movie. Because he becomes hope. He becomes hope for all of us. Thank you, Elam Grace, for having us. Dayson's House for sponsoring the event and having the dinner. Thank you, Alicia, for being our friend and getting this all set up. And most of all, thank you all for being here on this Tuesday night.
Thank you.